Deadrock is back with another great chapter, as we not only get some more downtime with the main cast, we also get an idea of Yakuto's fate, as alluded to at the beginning of the manga, with that coming right back here with his curse. We're getting an idea of what the future of the story is going to look like, at least for the next couple of chapters or the next arc, as well as a possibility for a time skip, and if all that isn't crazy enough, Alfred is planning to send specific Deadrock alum, aka Demon Lords, off to find out whoever is loosening the faith that the people of the human realm have in him to start weakening him, as this seems to be an issue now, and so we get introduced to a brand new antagonist who might be someone we'll be facing in the next couple of chapters. But we're going to break everything down today in this review, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos, and hype the video up to help boost the algorithm, to help share this with as many people as possible. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy what I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. I'm excited for what's next for Deadrock, and believe you me, I definitely got some video ideas from this chapter as well, so look forward to some more in the future. With that out of the way, let's just jump right into things with chapter 34 of Deadrock, titled All He Has Left, with the cover image being of a young hind with a wolf behind him. Now this could very much allude to either A, how Hind's life was in the human realm as a child after getting reincarnated, or this is just similar to what we got last chapter, a visual reference of Hind and the root of Fenrir, at least in this aspect. It could be one of the two. Either way, it is interesting. But this chapter starts off with some fan service. We all know it's been a while since Mashima has drawn any real legitimate fan service in this manga, so I guess since the characters have some downtime, he's figured it's about time we show off some assets at this point. I won't lie, in Deadrock he has had very good restraint in terms of when to bring in these scenes, or moments. Mikoto and Frey are entering this giant-ass bath that is in the home base of Yakuto's army, as we see Setsuna there as well, just saying that this is the biggest bath there is, and it's great for recreation. But then we actually get something that we were told about in the previous chapters, about a demon detector, and that's why Hind had to freeze Class F, so that they could at least transport them to the main base without being detected. And the question is brought up, how come they didn't detect Class F when they entered town and caused the panic? As someone off screen says that they are the ones who turned it off. As revealed, it is the aged Himiko. Seems she somehow realized that Class F had entered the human realm. For all we know, she does, I believe, have some type of spiritual powers, I think. Or she was probably at the church, and so she decided to turn off the demon detector after she saw Bebel and probably set things up. Who knows? Either way. We also get asked what happened to Himiko, because apparently she's supposed to be a young beauty. But Himiko says that she became like this after traveling with Yakuto, as we saw what Himiko looked like literally 5 years ago, well, a little over 5 years ago when Yakuto was a child when he was reincarnated. And so we get this multi-panel long passage of time going from 5 years to 1 year ago, as we see Yakuto age up to what he would look like now. But once we reach the 1 year ago mark, all of a sudden Himiko just rapidly ages to the look that she has right now. And I'm acting like Frey right now. How the hell did all that happen in the first place? It was just 1 year. What the hell could have happened? Honestly, a pretty effective gag, if I do say so myself. Usually these types of gags don't really land unless they're executed well. I do think Mashima did this gag pretty well. But after that piece of information, Setsuna is trying to get the girls to ask about her and what her life was like after getting reincarnated, but Mikoto is just like, I don't care about you at all, which Setsuna's face is just priceless, as even Frey's like, I'm just glad that Yakuto's alive, and Hind too, as Setsuna just like, what the hell do you got, what about me? Obviously it makes sense that they wouldn't really care about Setsuna, considering that they weren't friends with her at all. She was just another student at Deadrock that ended up dying in the battle in the tournament arc, so it is what it is. But it is funny and also kind of sad that no one else kind of cares about Setsuna from Class F. But the girl needs a hug after that one. But Frey's relaxing and saying that she can't even believe that they're in the human world and that she got to see her beloved Yakuto again. And as Mikoto was smiling towards her, she just ends up blushing, saying, "What the heck am I saying?" with the biggest grin on her face, and she's letting her flames just completely turn the hot spring into boiling water, as everyone in the bath just jumps right out as Frey accidentally is beginning to burn everybody a bright red, with even Mikoto saying that if that ever happened again, she would be a corpse at that point. Again, pretty solid gag, I'm not gonna lie. There is a good number of gags in this chapter that I actually do very much appreciate. We then cut over to the men's bath, as Bebel with his many arms is offering to wash Yakuto's back with all 4 arms, as Yakuto's being like, I can do this myself, man, you gotta relax. Bebel's admiration for Yakuto continues to be hilarious. But Ryzen ends up asking what's going on. Considering that he's human now, why can't he use the powers of his roots? As Hein also says that Setsuna and him have gained their root powers back as well, with Hani wondering what's going on, because roots are the powers of the ancestors of demons back when they were demons. They were inherited from these ancient beings from the past. Ryzen ends up saying, "You still look like a demon now," which I think he's referring to Hein, because yeah, Hein's appearance didn't really change much. He still has the dog-like ears. Maybe, as alluded to at the beginning of this chapter with the cover image, maybe Hein was just born as like a beast man, just a regular beast man. Maybe in this world there are like anthropomorphic animals as well that aren't demons, for all we know. That could be a thing, another race of beings in this universe. Either that or he's referring to Hani for some kind of joke. But Hani says humans can't use roots as he slides in the soap across the floor, trying to have the time of his life. But Yakuto said something that I actually called in the last chapter, based off of how things were, that faith was the key. Believing in himself was what awakened his powers. So like I said in the previous chapter, when Yakuto, in this flashback of his life in the human realm, he was believing in himself, and that belief in himself and his powers is what helped awaken the root, which was ingrained in his very soul. He got reincarnated into a new body, but that power is engraved into his soul, so it makes sense that he'd be able to gain that power back. So I'm glad that the whole belief and faith aspect is not just for Elfid, the god of the world. Faith seems to be a key part of the baseline power system of this world outside of the roots. That faith is the key to growing stronger, as well as just reawakening your powers if you were reincarnated, if that's the case. Which I like. It's simple but effective and plays into the themes of the story as well, so I'm very much okay with this explanation, and it makes a lot of sense with the context of the story. I'm good with it. But it's then Zalisha just pops right up, fully nude, just letting the smoke cover her up. And I guess Mashima just wanted to draw fan service with Zalisha at this point, and I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll move on, I guess. You do you, Mashima, at this point. As all the guys are just like, wait, what are you doing? This is the men's bath. At least put a towel on. But Zalisha, staring down at Yakuto, who's trying not to stare back at her, plops down and looks at Yakuto's left arm in shock as she says, what happened to the marks on his arm? I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Luculacerum curse. And remember, this is the curse that all the way back in her first introduction of Zalisha, when she encountered Yakuto in, I believe, chapter 4 of the manga, she noticed Yakuto's curse on his left arm, and we never really got the full introduction of who she was. So, Zalisha is curious over what happened with this curse, because this seems to be something that was literally just eating away at Yakuto's life. It was a legitimate life curse that did allow him to turn into a dragon. Now, Yakuto says that, well, since he became a human, it vanished, so that seems to be the case. And the other's like, wait, marks? What do you mean? As Hani remembers Yakuto's dragon form, and again, another excuse for Mashima to just draw out full-on acnologia, Hani says, the curse that lets you turn into a dragon? With Yakuto saying, yeah. And apparently the Black Dragon root didn't even give Yakuto the ability to turn into a dragon in the first place. This was something that was established a while ago, but getting it reaffirmed is a nice way to just, like, refresh our memories. But it's also to get Hein up to speed because he literally died before he learned about Yakuto's curse. So this is probably just another way of Hein just being like, wait, you were able to turn into a dragon because of a curse? Oh, okay, I guess. Because it does make sense. He has the Black Dragon root, and people just assumed he had the power to turn into a dragon based off that, but no, just a curse. And I guess nice way to really just catch Hein up to speed. Now Zalisha is staring intently at Yakuto's arm as Yakuto just says, well, yeah, it was because of a curse, but look, my arm's all better now. No curse. But Zalisha, being an expert magic user as she is with a wealth of knowledge, knows immediately that the curse that Yakuto had wasn't the sort of thing that just gets better. The marks are just invisible now, as she comes to the conclusion that Yakuto has at least 1 or 2 years left, which means Yakuto now has another 2 years max to live. So we now have the race against the clock in terms of Yakuto's life. And that is very nice tension building, because yeah, Yakuto died literally, I believe, about 10 chapters ago at this point, and now we are getting confirmation that that death flag he had with the curse, that literal ticking clock, is still there. And it's very possible, since his powers, his root, was fully based off of his soul, that curse definitely ingrained into his soul probably counted the reincarnated 15 years that he had in the human realm. So it could also explain why this is the estimate Zalisha came to. And this is very, very important for what could potentially happen to Yakuto in the future, unless they somehow get rid of that curse. But this could also mean that maybe Yakuto hasn't been able to turn into a full dragon in this world yet, and once that happens, maybe the marks will become visible to him, and for all we know, that could accelerate the timeline of his curse. But we then cut back to the girls' bath, as Mikoto is just laying around, floating in the pool, just saying, believing in oneself is faith, huh? With Frey saying that, well, it's awesome. Just reaffirming what Yakuto mentioned earlier, as Setsuna just tells them about the faith power system. We cut to the next day, everybody fresh and relaxed, as we are now in the war room. As we get a map of this whole area, at least of what is called Forest Hill, as with all the towns that Yakuto and his alliance have been able to liberate over the past couple of years, showing not just what they've done, but also what they have left to do. And while the others think it's impressive, Hein just says, no, it took us 5 years just to liberate this small number of towns. It will take at least another 10 to liberate them all, with Yakuto having a solemn look in his face and the soul panel of Zalisha. But Hani, in the coolest and most badass way he's ever looked, just in general, slams his two stumps together and says, well, you've got us here now, we'll go crazy with you. But Bebo says, hey, look, going crazy is a bad idea. And he gives his super creepy, sinister smile towards Hani and freaks him the hell out to the point of tears. But Hein then ends up saying, well, going crazy won't liberate them. We need to defeat the Dead Rock alums running them and convince the townspeople to have faith in themselves. Once again, reestablishing how powerful faith is in this world, and if they can get the people to believe in themselves, then that is less faith for Elfid and people viewing him as a god, so his powers itself will weaken. And we cut back to another piece of information from the flashback, as Frey mentions that, well, everything sounds hard. Mikoto says that they found a dead rock here in the human world, as Yakuto says that it is specifically a prison for souls, with Himiko clarifying that it's said that if the world's faith weakens, the portal will open. It's the only place that God can be killed. So that is an interesting piece of information. We have a location, we have a goal. We need to weaken the faith of the humans enough so that this world's dead rock is unsealed. Whatever is in this prison of souls could be anything. But it is the only place where Elfid could die, so they would have to potentially lead them there and fight him to the death. Or the core of his being is there, and if they destroy it, then Elfid will either end up dying, or he will be mortal, capable of being killed. There is a good number of things that can happen if they enter this human world version of Dead Rock, the soul prison, so there is something that we gotta wonder about. But we also, another piece of information, they know where this Dead Rock is, but the portal is closed, lock and key and all, which means, yeah, we don't have access to it until we weaken enough faith. But Zalisha gives a proposal to everybody, saying, we each go out and liberate towns and get them all freed in 1 year. As this shocks everybody, as this sounds completely impossible and ridiculous, with Yakuto saying that that's kind of a bit much. But Zalisha puts this in a way that gets everyone a bit more on board and also makes more sense, saying that it's actually a big chance for everybody here, all the fighters, to get stronger, asking them if they're all ready for a fight, as they'll end up dividing up the remaining towns and tackle them with each one of them on their own, as they'll definitely get stronger and take down the alums of Deadrock. So Zalisha is proposing a one-on-one siege against these individual towns, against these individual alumni, these demon lords from Deadrock. That way these life or death fights, and with the key aspect of faith being an aspect of their power system, with their belief in themselves, could make them stronger. At least that's what I'm getting from it. But that's not the only reason. Zalisha, literally the night before, realized that YAKUTO has a max 2 years left to live because of his curse. By giving them a 1-year deadline, she ends up ensuring that in this hard-fought battles against these Deadrock alums, not only will the current class F members who are demons get stronger through fights, but the reincarnated fighters will grow stronger as well based off of the faith power system that is more in tune with them now that they are humans. And in these life or death battles against these powerful demons, they could potentially get strong enough so they will be able to not only fight the remaining members of the 4 demon teachers, being Baltagar and Lilith at that point, if they return to the Deadrock in the demon world, but they could potentially also fight God Saves, if that is still a thing. I made a theory that Alfred killed his elite fighting force because of the danger of his change of personality could damage his faith and power, but it's entirely possible that he made an entirely new one after the fact, so that he can have his own personal guard, especially in the human realm. But at the end of this chapter, we will potentially see someone that he views as trustworthy. But another piece of information that I want to glean from this chapter in this double page spread when Zalisha is breaking down, individually taking down and liberating towns and getting stronger by taking out the Deadrock alums, we get this map of the area, a much closer look of the map, at least of this continent. And many others on social media, especially other like fairy tale content creators and Deadrock readers, have pointed out the continent looks suspiciously almost identical to the continent of Ishgar or the kingdom of Fiore in Fairy Tale. Now, this can mean a multitude of different things. Either A, there's just a different universe and it just by itself, like Mashima initially intended, just like with Eden Zero and Rave Master and Fairy Tale being all separate universes, and Deadrock's another one of these, and there's just a nice reference and big Easter egg to Fairy Tale fans. Just like how this entire manga has been pretty much non-stop fairy tale Easter eggs and references and reimaginings in the series. Or this is Mashima changing again his initial plan for Deadrock, because this was supposed to be probably like at max like a 20 chapter series, but now it's way longer and it's still ongoing. It's possible that he changed his plans and now it just started to make Deadrock potentially a prequel to Fairy Tale, like the ancient past of the Fairy Tale world. And this could also explain what happened to all of the gods of Fairy Tale, and perhaps the curse that YAKUTO has could just be a different name that could be read of the god that cursed Zeref in Fairy Tale. That would be interesting to see. I want to make a video going over how this is possible, so I'm not going to get too into it here and make this video 30 minutes long. But yeah, that is another really cool piece of information that we just got from this chapter, and I really do enjoy it. And Zalisha's words ends up lighting a fire under everybody, saying that that's not a bad plan after all, and it's worth considering. But Frey immediately is like, oh come on, we finally all get together, we finally get to see YAKUTO again, and we gotta separate for a whole damn year? This is BS. But she clenches her fist and just like, you know what, fine, it's for his sake, let's do it. As YAKUTO looks at everybody as they reaffirm him that they don't have to worry about this, they'll be able to save everybody, and the time difference of the demon world is just 1 day there for a year in the human world, so Class F won't really lose much time in the demon world, so they're fine staying there for at least a year. And so YAKUTO gets his determined look back as Zalisha calls arms to everybody and says, come on, 1 year from now we'll survive and meet up again no matter what. Now, for some reason, the double page spread where we get everybody together all seemingly splitting up to go their separate ways, it was arranged weirdly in the image that I have. I'm gonna give the actual real image of the double page spread right here just to fully correct it. But it looks great. Everybody's off to do their own thing. Hopefully we get at least 2 to 3 chapters of all these characters in different towns fighting against different alums. That would be really cool to see, and I would just love the individual time with each of these characters. This manga is monthly, so obviously we're not going to spend too long with each character, but it would be great to see everybody fight their own one-on-one, and potentially awaken to their origin roots. That would be something that I would really appreciate to like. But we then transition over to a rundown town in a cathedral, as these townspeople looking up in fear and awe as someone points a finger in the air, as Alfred is now in the human world, presenting the people a question. As he's just sitting crisscrossed on the altar, as the light shines in, shrouding him in darkness, he says, "My devout believers who have gathered in this church, I ask you, who among you is the least necessary?" As everybody is wondering what's going on, with the, I believe, priest saying that, what guidance are you going to ask of us? What kind of guidance are you giving us? But Alpha just says, "Oh, I'm just killing time right now," as this kind of shocks everybody. As he says, "I don't care who. It could be a blasphemer, a heretic, someone who committed theft yesterday even." As he literally just wants to kill someone for the sake of it, as the priest is trying to say, "Hey, the people here make mistakes. But doesn't that make this type of punishment unnecessary?" But then Alfred just goes eeny, meeny, miny, mo to just pick a random person just to kill right off the back, and just says God's word is law. And then he says, "Okay, everybody, it is." It unleashes this dark, shadowy tendril attack through the entire church and just kills everybody, all the innocent people, as they're lying down on the ground, as he just lets out a sigh with how boring this all was. So I guess Alfred didn't have much to do at this moment, as he just decided to kill an entire church full of his devout followers. So that's concerning, even more concerning than usual. But he then goes over to someone called Muse, as he says that lately impiety has been increasing in the human world, and he asks her to deal with it. As we get the reveal of this new antagonist, Muse, as he tells her to show the humans her holy power, as the chapter ends with the reveal of who this character is. And I like this design so far. We only got her from the back with some kind of elegant dress, but it seems that she has some sort of hair ornaments as well, and her face looks almost like Mira Jane from Fairy Tail for all we know. That could be something. Honestly, if this is a prequel to Fairy Tail, this could just be Mashima's way of showing us an ancestor of Mira Jane, and could also potentially mean and give an idea as to why she has demon takeover magic in the present day. That'd be interesting to see. But that's it for this chapter. Not only is Alfred sending his own personal guard, for all we know, this character Muse might be a brand new member of God Saves, or is just the Dead Rock alumni that is in this town that is meant to be in charge of it to help make people have faith in Alfred and increase his powers. Or again, it could just be his own personal guard or something like that. We're getting the possibility of a time skip, as Alicia gives everybody the task of liberating towns, one individually, to get as many liberated as possible and take down as many Dead Rock alumni to liberate everybody and give them faith in themselves in order to weaken Alfred and unlock the seal on Dead Rock. And so we're getting set up for potentially a time skip. And with the literal ticking clock of this time skip and 1 year time limit being that Yakuto has a max 2 years left to live, because even though he was reincarnated, his curse is still there, that adds a little bit of more tension to the story of Dead Rock. Could Yakuto survive by the end of this, or will his curse take him at the end of the day? We don't know. And Hiro Mashima managed to draw some legitimate fan service for this series for a couple of pages in a row. So, you know what? Bravo, Mashima. You definitely needed to draw something at some point based off how long it took you to give actual fan service in this series. That is honestly hilarious. And you know what? Do what you do you. But that's all I got for this chapter of Dead Rock. You guys let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below on what you think is going to happen going forward, the time skip, who Muse is, the whole goal of getting everything done in a year, and Yakuto's fate. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think and what will happen next. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day, and look forward to some Dead Rock content in the future. I know I keep promising this, but I think I finally have videos to actually talk about thanks to this chapter and the previous chapters. So I got some ideas.